Hey there, are you PCSing to the Hampton Roads area, perhaps Norfolk or Virginia Beach, maybe even Newport News? In this video, I'm gonna share some things that you're gonna wanna know. And we're gonna start right now. Hampton Roads, Virginia is a major military hub. It might be the largest military transit area in our country. This area is home to about 80,000 active duty military personnel. We have about 40,000 civilian personnel in the area as well. Veterans make up about 13.5% of our population, which is double the national average. Outside of being a tour guide here on YouTube, I am also a realtor. In a moment, you're gonna hear from a Navy officer that I had the honor and pleasure of working with on 2 different occasions in both buying and selling a home. I'm really excited for you guys to hear his perspective on PCSing to this area. Let's take a look at Hampton Roads, Virginia, and I just want to show you on the map real quick, really the layout of Hampton Roads to make sense of it. It consists of 7 cities, and there's a few surrounding cities too I will mention. It's split into 2 sections in Hampton Roads. There's the north side, which is up here, then there's the south side, which is down here. They seem so close, but yet they're far away when there's traffic trying to get through these tunnels right here. This tunnel up top right here, I just want to get this out the way. If you are working or stationed up in Newport News or Hampton, maybe you're stationed at Fort Eustis or Langley Air Force Base, whatever the case, you're probably going to want to live on that side of the water. I don't recommend coming down to the south side because the travel could be tedious during certain times of day or if there's a wreck. Now, there's a lot of construction going on right now with the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel here. I have to look and see the projection date, but within the next few years, they're going to have another tunnel side by side, so it's going to actually allow us to get a lot more traffic to and from. But during certain times of day, it's not bad. I actually live down here in Chesapeake, and my girlfriend lives up here in Newport News, so I almost feel like I'm in a long-distance relationship sometimes. If there's no traffic, it's really only about a 38-minute drive to get to her house. Starting with the north side, we have Newport News, and we have Hampton here. The entire Yorktown area is what this would be considered, is a very popular area to consider if you are moving to this area. You got Williamsburg just up here and the famous Busch Gardens right there. On the south side, we have 5 more cities that I want to highlight to you real quick. Of course, we have Virginia Beach. That's the most popular area in Hampton Roads. If you're stationed in Oceana, then you may want to live in Virginia Beach. That's probably going to be a good idea. You'll avoid traffic and commute time. Even if you're stationed up here in Norfolk, you could still live in Virginia Beach or Chesapeake. Chesapeake is a very popular city. I'm biased. That's where I currently live, but I will probably be moving again though next year over here to Virginia Beach. We also have Norfolk. Norfolk is a big, diverse city. If you are stationed in Norfolk, maybe it would be most convenient just to find a place to live in Norfolk. There's some very desirable areas up here in the northern part of Norfolk too, not far from the base in the ocean view or the Bayview area. If I zoom in down central here, Midtown, you got Portsmouth. Portsmouth actually goes a little further out than that. Portsmouth is this whole area here. It goes all the way up right here. Let me zoom in. On the other side of this water, this is also part of Portsmouth over here. This is the Churchland side of Portsmouth, which tends to be pretty desirable. And then you have Suffolk, which is the largest city landmass wise. Central Suffolk's right here, but it comes all the way through the Dismal Swamp, and there's a lot of farmland out here in Suffolk. But in the northern part of Suffolk, it's much more developed and very desirable to live, especially if you're at like Joint Staff or something. If you're stationed up here at the Joint Staff, then you're going to want to live in Harborview. That's probably going to make the most sense, or somewhere in the North Suffolk area. But if you're stationed in Norfolk, you may not want to. And the reason why is there's a couple other tunnels to consider. There's this Midtown Tunnel that can be tedious sometimes to get through, and there's a toll. Also, there's just traffic sometimes coming down through here. It's not ideal if you are stationed in Norfolk to live over here west. Instead, it would make more sense to probably come down here to Chesapeake or Virginia Beach. Now, outside of that, if you want the farmland, if that's what you want, if you want some land and a barn or something, of course, Suffolk may have that, but also you get out here into the Carrollton area, the Smithfield area, Isle of Wight County. All around here, you may find more options with land. It's a little more country when you get out that way. And keep in mind, we are on the border of North Carolina. Maybe Moya, somewhere down in Winton or something, would be another option for you. More than likely, if you're stationed in any of the places I just mentioned, even at the Portsmouth Hospital or wherever you're at, you're probably going to want to be somewhere in Chesapeake, Norfolk, or Virginia Beach. For anybody living in the Hampton Roads area, you are going to want to get an easy pass. Just go online, get one of those things, because it's going to save you money each time you go through a tunnel that charges a toll or a bridge. If your work commute every day is charging you a toll, that could be like $3 a trip, which is $6 a day, which is almost $120 a month. That adds up pretty quick. So just make sure you budget that in, or reach out to me if you have any questions about what the current tolls look like in this area. If you have served our country or you're currently serving our country, I just want to say thank you. There's a lot of sacrifice with that nobody may see, but the sacrifice I see from you is every time you move, you up in PCS, not by your own personal choice, by the sacrifice of serving our country. Also, making these moves, not always convenient, because you may not get your orders until the last minute, or the final orders may not come to the last minute, and that could even hinder the approval process. Having a good loan officer is important, so if you would like a referral for that, let me know. I work with some of the best here locally. If you do seek and find your own, just know that you want to look for a mortgage company instead of a credit union or a bank. Banks and credit unions are good at banking, but mortgage companies, they specialize in the process. You'll find that you'll get better service and more likely to be punctual on closing on time. The other sacrifice that I see and that I have felt is the friendships, the relationships, not just with you, but possibly your kids, your spouse. Those are tough to leave behind sometimes. In fact, one of my friends, Philip, just moved out of the area. Philip is a Navy pilot stationed right here in Norfolk. I was telling him I was going to make this video and just asking him what it was like for him. He PCSed to this area, bought a house, and then successfully sold it and got a very nice return on his investment as he exited the area to move back to California. When I told him about making this video, here's what he wanted to share with you.
Before I moved here, I was stationed in Kingsville, Texas. If you're PCSing here in the Hampton Roads area, here are some things you would want to know. Where to live is the most important part. The good areas. Do you have family? Are you single? Where are these neighborhoods that would accommodate my needs, and especially around the base you're getting stationed at, whether or not you like the beach or not like the beach. You got all kinds of variety here in the Hampton Roads area. If you're gonna get stationed here in Norfolk, just come in with a big open mind. There's a lot of things to do around here. Every city here in the Hampton Roads area has its own unique little thing. I definitely recommend taking a couple of days to house hunt, venture each neighborhood, Virginia Beach, Portsmouth, Norfolk. I've been stationed at Norfolk Naval Station for 8 years. If you're getting stationed in Naval Station Norfolk, you're probably in the Navy. It's a pretty big base, one of the main U.S. naval bases in our country, probably the biggest. There are a lot of really cool neighborhoods near that area. Also a bunch in the Virginia Beach area as well, or Portsmouth area if you want to venture out a little bit. If you're looking for someone to help you find your next home here in the Hampton Roads area, especially if you're PCSing and you're in the military, Jeremy Allen is your guy. He found us a really great home, very close to the highway, great driving distance to Norfolk Naval Station, but also in between that and Little Creek. Very good neighborhood here in Greenbrier. Virginia Beach, Tallwood area is where I lived, but you can't go wrong anywhere in the Hampton Roads area, and Jeremy will be the guy to find you that next home. Even up at Hampton too, across the bridge, there's some nice areas there. It really depends on your lifestyle. If you like the beach, you got Virginia Beach. If you like the city more, you got Norfolk. If you got in like vintage and old school, you got Portsmouth, all that stuff. Hampton Roads as a whole it's a pretty big melting pot, and I think you'll like it. Just need to take some time to find your needs. Like I said, Jeremy's your guy to do that. He'll take all the time you need to look for that right home.
Philip is one of my friends, one of my many friends that have come and gone in this military transit area we're in. Another thing to be aware of when moving to this area is sometimes we do have some storms, some nor'easters. Occasionally we get a little tail end of a hurricane, but we don't get hit here nearly as bad as they do in North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida. You are going to want to be aware of flood zones. If you are thinking about buying a home in Norfolk or buying a home in Virginia Beach or wherever it may be, just want to be aware of the flood zones and make sure that you're comfortable living in that flood zone and paying the required flood insurance. Flood insurance could cost anywhere from $400 to $2,400 per year, or even more. It just depends on where you live. We do have several available options though that are not in a flood zone. My sister and my brother-in-law, they were PCSed here, Air Force, and that's actually what brought me here. They own 3 homes in this area. When my sister first PCSed here, the very first question that she had, what mattered most to her, was the schools. If you want to review schools, a couple sources for that would be greatschools.org or schooldigger.com. We do have private school options, we have magnet schools, and just do some research on that. If that matters to you, that might help determine where you want to live. Also, the other question that I get all the time is about crime in some of these cities. You may hear from some other people like, don't live here or don't live there. I wouldn't rule out a whole entire city. Check the crime maps on the local police website or the city website, or you can go to mylocalcrime.com. I find that to be a good resource, and crimemapping.com. Let's talk about the cost of living in Hampton Roads, specifically around the housing prices. Now, this is going to vary a whole lot depending on which city you live in. Just remember, if you're PCSing here and you think you may only be here for 3, 4, 5 years or whatever, just know that you may want to turn this into a rental at some point. You may want to avoid buying a condo just because a lot of our condos are going to have rules and regulations about how many units can be rented at one time. Because if a condominium complex was to exceed a certain number of rental properties in the community, they will lose their VA approval and their FHA approval, which means that would eliminate a lot of buyers from being able to purchase that condo, and it would affect the property value. So to maintain their eligibility to sell their condos to VA buyers and FHA buyers, they have to maintain a certain cap amount of rentals. So if your condo community has already rented out that many rentals, you have to wait on the waiting list. Doesn't make it a very good investment. Those kind of rules do not apply to a property owners association or a homeowners association. This is just for condominiums. Now let's take a look at the property values in each city just to give you an idea of what the cost of living looks like. Depending on when you're watching this video, this is all subject to change. Feel free to reach out to me direct if you have any questions about any updated information or just about moving to this area in general. My contact information is in the description. That's my real cell phone number. Feel free to shoot me a text or call me anytime. I'm here to help. Okay, let's start with the most popular city in the Hampton Roads area, and that would be Virginia Beach. I'm just looking at detached single-family homes, nothing attached at this time. The median sales price is $460,500 currently in Virginia Beach. You'll notice that they are currently selling for 100.8% of their list price. In some cases, much higher than that. In some cases, lower, depending on the condition, depending on the location. Obviously, that can vary. We have only 1.3 months of inventory right now. What that means is if we stop listing properties today, we would sell out of all our houses in 1.3 months. That is not a balanced market. It's actually very unbalanced. A balanced market would be 4 to 6 months of supply. So we're definitely in a seller's market currently as of June 2024, but obviously that can change. When I see the new numbers that come out in July, I think that's going to soften a little bit. It usually does around summertime. Until we see more inventory, these prices are going to continue to rise. So if you're PCSing to Virginia Beach and the cost of living just seems too high, there are some surrounding areas that you may want to consider. If you are PCSing to Norfolk, The cost of living is $319,000, significantly cheaper than Virginia Beach. You'll notice they're still selling for over the list price, but they do have a little bit more inventory, but that's still low. Another city to consider, I highly recommend, is Chesapeake. I live in Chesapeake, specifically the Greenbrier area. There are several parts of Chesapeake to consider, but the cost of living here is not much less than Virginia Beach. And you'll see a consistency of homes selling over their list price, and we have 1.9 months here in Chesapeake. Another area that could be more affordable to consider is Suffolk. It's a little bit less, $419,400 is the median sales price. They're selling for average of 100% of their list price, and we currently have 2.8 months in Suffolk. So we actually have more supply in Suffolk, which is cool. We may see this price start to level out a little bit. I'm specifically staying on the south side right now as I flip through these, but check out Portsmouth. This is the cheapest cost of living. $282,250 is our median sales price in Portsmouth. And again, they're still selling for 100% of the list price. And that's going to vary. You might see some that get multiple offers and sell for 20 grand over, but you may see some that get negotiated down based on the condition. And we have 2.2 months of inventories in Portsmouth. I've sold a lot of homes in Portsmouth, especially during the 2021 crazy market where everybody was buying everything. It was just too competitive in some of these other areas. So Portsmouth became a very hot target for many of my buyers. If you are PCSing to Newport News, maybe you're getting stationed over at Langley or Fort Eustis, let's take a look at Newport News. $309,250. It is cheaper than Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, and some of those cities. 1.9 months of inventory, and we're still seeing homes sell for 99.9% of their list price currently. Located right next door to Newport News is Hampton. You'll find that to be even cheaper. That would be more comparable to the prices in Portsmouth, $285,000, and they're selling for over their list price just slightly with 2 months of inventory. Another area that is very popular and very high demand is just north of Newport News, and that's York County. The median sales price there is $505,604, so it is more expensive than even Virginia Beach, and with only 1.6 months of inventory, those prices will still continue to climb. Now, the most expensive area you'll find is going to be Williamsburg at $515,000. Homes are selling for 101% of their list price there with only 1.4 months of inventory. Real estate is a very local thing, and this applies to all areas in the country. It's really a micro market. I just showed you broad numbers throughout the cities, but within each city is different subdivisions and different neighborhoods. So the experience you have buying a home in this area is going to be different depending on the neighborhood you choose. Another thing you're going to want to know if you are PCSing to this area, anywhere you go, especially our local businesses, which I highly recommend supporting local businesses, whether it be a restaurant or a coffee shop, they almost always are going to offer you a 10% discount. And if you haven't already, make sure to register through Home Depot and everywhere else so you can get yourself that discount. Another thing I just want to warn you about, be careful in Virginia Beach drinking and driving. There are DUI stations set up and like DUI checkpoints, and Virginia Beach is known for busting people for DUIs. So be careful. Don't want to get hemmed up. Not a good night. If you are looking for some nightlife fun, there is the Rivers Casino in Portsmouth you may want to check out. It's a lot of fun. It's the only casino we really have. It's a legit casino. Or you may want to go downtown Norfolk, check out Granby Street or Waterside District. The most popular area is going to be out at the ocean front. If you want to learn some more about the ocean front and some of the nightlife, check out this video I made covering the ocean front and the real estate and neighborhoods you may want to consider to live in around the oceanfront area. Depending on which city that you're thinking about, check out the playlist that I have already made a lot of video content around these cities, but also feel free to reach out to me. I'm here for you as a resource. If you got any value from this video, do me a favor and tap that like button and subscribe to this channel and share this video with a friend if you know somebody else that might be PCSing to this area.